rising up through the ranks in the health and care industry as a woman in a strong female industry, but rising to a position of a leadership position. What sort of support did you get along the way to help you on that trajectory, on that career trajectory?
I think you've nailed it in many ways in saying, the human services industry tends to be an environment where women can flourish. I just grew up in an environment where of self-belief, not in me, but in women. I had a working mum, and in those days that was a tad unusual. She was a leading teacher and she ran businesses. I had a strong, gorgeous, bolshy elder sister who just believed everything was possible. And stories of a grandmother who in the early 1900s was driving cars and running businesses. Again, unheard of in those days. So it's that sense of I can, and because women can.
Brilliant.
There wasn't a suggestion that we couldn't.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's a unique perspective that I've had in the conversations that I've had for International Women's Day, and it's great to hear that you're in a long line of inspirational women who've already forged the path, the trailblazers. What about mentoring along the way? Were there significant female figures in your professional journey who were able to provide you with support and encouragement and mentoring along the way?
So many, and women who just appear at the right time, in the right place. So not formally. Women, I've had great female CEOs to take leadership from. I've had experiences with customers and women in the community who are driven and feisty and compassionate, all at the same time. And then fabulous women in the human services, like people like Sue Ash and those women who are just inspirations. And I think for them, gender doesn't even really come into it. Again, a bit like my family members, you just can.
It's brilliant because it's such a it's such an industry that's contingent upon or dependent upon compassion and empathy and consideration and thoughtfulness towards other people. And I think that to see people harness those attributes and succeed with those attributes is fantastic. But what about change over your professional life? Have you seen change in attitudes to women, or particularly attitudes to women in leadership roles in this female-dominated industry?
Because I've not always worked in the human services. So before working here, I worked at Lottery West. And whilst we supported not-for-profits, we were government. And of course, we're running a lottery. And in those industries, you walk into a sea of suits, whether that's international lotteries or state public sector business gatherings. It still is a sea of suits. So, I'm very conscious of that, and you do feel very female.
And so tell us about your challenges in that environment.
Sometimes it was as simple as having to just suck it up while some patronising bloke almost patted you on the hand and called you dear. Didn't necessarily, but my choice has always been just to suck it up and know that I'm the better person.
Brilliant. And so, that's inspirational. And so how do you mentor young women professionals who are coming through these days?
So look, I'm a mum of two girls. Two girls who are in their late 20s, and so they're embarking on exciting careers. And again, I hope that they grow up just thinking they can. We've got a large female workforce here at Ability Centre. 2/3 of them are female. So for us, it's about ensuring that they get appropriate professional development opportunities.
Definitely.
That they get good access to female leaders. There's only one bloke on our executive. Not that that's a deliberate matter necessarily, but I think they've got role models within their own organisation. And it's about providing those young women flexibility so that they can pursue career and professional development and support their own colleagues whilst they tend to what else is going on in their lives.
That is incredible, and that's an issue that's come up today as well. Western Australia struggles with a significant gender pay gap, and finding out how we remedy that is a real policy challenge that the state government and members of parliament like me need to grapple with and try and resolve. Which is why days like International Women's Day, when we shine a spotlight on those issues, are in my view really important. Your daughters, do they ever get to spend time with their aunt, your older sister?
Yes.
Great.
They adore her.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. And then what changes, I suppose my last question would be, what changes would you like to see in the way we make the system or the or the institutions fairer and more accessible and more equitable? Like, what are the important policy issues that we can grapple with?
I think there's some formal and informal supports. Certainly as a community, we've got to tackle the whole notion of childcare and before and after school care for both genders, for both parents. It's a juggle, and it's got to be accessible, it's got to be of quality standard, and it's got to be close by.
Yep.
That's really, really important. Flexibility in the workplace so that parents can come and go. I think, that whole parenting puzzle, as you and I were just talking about off camera.
Yes,
it's hard work, and it's a joy, but it's hard work. And I think then as women naturally, global generalisation here, but as parents age, they tend to take more of a responsibility around care for the elders.
Yes.
And at that stage of their life, they're going to need flexibility in the workplace as well.
That is true, and that's still an attribute of society that we haven't broken down those barriers yet. I mean, I know my generation and the dads at the local primary school where my boys go, we relish parenting, and we compare it to our father's generation, and we can see that changes have taken place, and that's a great thing. But I think your point about caring for older parents is another frontier in the challenge.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's been fantastic.
Thank you,
Jackie, and congratulations on all the great work the Ability Centre is doing. You guys are a leading light in the local community, and such a really important institution, and I'm really grateful to you for all the hard work that you do, and I'm really grateful to you for your time this afternoon.
Great. Thanks very much, Simon. Good to spend time with you.